Max Hartman, star outfielder for the Washington State University Cougars, is looking to become the next MLB draft pick out of Washington State. He led the team in batting average this past season with a .363. He had a .956 OPS, which included 9 doubles, 5 home runs, 29 RBIs, and 7 for 8 in stolen base attempts. With his playing style drawing comparisons to Jarren Duran, his swing drawing comparisons to Brandon Nimmo, be on the lookout for Max Hartman this July. And before we get into it, the sponsor of this podcast is Black Label Supplements. If you're an athlete, you need to recover the right way, put the right stuff in your body. Black Label Supplements is a third-party tested, athlete-approved supplement company based here in the Pacific Northwest. You can use code COUCHGM for 15% off your order. And if you or somebody you know is thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing on the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, or Arizona, make sure to reach out to myself, Connor Webb, as I'm a mortgage lender full-time when I'm not making these sports videos, and it's my goal to assist as many sports fans and athletes get into the home of their dreams. I'll have a link in the description of this video to reach out and connect. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and let's get into the episode with Max Hartman. All right, Max Hartman, outfielder for the Washington State Cougars. Thanks for hopping on, and looking forward to hearing more of your story. Had a standout year this past year.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be on here.
I guess talking about where you currently are right now, we just talked about this briefly off air, but you're currently playing in the MLB Draft League. You're currently in Pennsylvania. Your home team right now, is it out of Ohio? You know, what's that? Can you walk me through that?
Yeah, so the MLB prospect link sends out like a link, and you sign with the team, and they put you on a team. So my home team is the Mahoning Valley Scrappers out of Niles, Ohio, and it's right across the border from Pennsylvania. And right now we're in State College, where Penn State plays, and we're playing State College Spikes.
Okay. So what's the decision process and what's the recruiting process like, deciding between which summer ball team you're going to be playing in, how you decide if you're going to be in the MLB Draft League, because there's the West Coast League, there's various leagues throughout the country that you could be playing in.
Yeah, I have an agent, so he kind of advises me what to do and where to go and stuff. Last year and the 2 previous years, actually, I played in the West Coast League and had fun there and stuff. And he just said it was best interest to play in the draft league this year, especially when I got the contract already.
The assumption is that there might be more prospects in that, or sorry, more scouts in that league. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Like every game, there's some scouts in the stands, seeing either arms or something. So it's also good exposure to like it, even if they're just seeing an arm, you get seen as well. So.
And you have the ability to choose at some point this summer, you know, if you decide to go to the draft or if you want to go back to school, right? And do you know the date on that?
Well, the draft's the 19th, or the July 12th or something, and so the season for the draft league ends on like the 12th or a day before that or something. So,
Okay.
I don't know where I'll be in the country when the draft happens, but hopes are for the draft, and then I get flown out from wherever I am.
Awesome. Well, let's take it back to a bit of your story. You grew up in Canada. You made your way out to the Blues for college baseball. Let's start with growing up. I saw an interview that you played volleyball throughout high school as well. I'm curious, you know, which sports you played growing up, how you ended up, you know, hearing about Washington State, getting recruited, and making your way out there.
Yeah, growing up, me and my brother were put in every sport possible. It was soccer, hockey, um, baseball, all really young, and just kind of continued that on. I played hockey till I was 15, pretty competitively, and then when it got to 15, it was kind of a year-round thing, so I had to choose between that and baseball. But then I could still fit in high school or junior high basketball. So like grade 7 to 9, I played on the senior basketball team for my school, and then grades 7 to 12, I played volleyball, which I really enjoyed and kept me athletic while I was playing baseball. So I mean, I had to go to school too, and it didn't take that much time out of baseball because it was more start of school year. So like September to December was kind of the volleyball season. So I really liked volleyball, and yeah, like kind of just got onto recruiting, like getting recruited to WSU in my grade 10 year. Had some getting into like COVID and stuff. They had to do a bunch of stuff with videos. So that kind of benefited me because they could see me a ton because our coaches would take videos and send them. And yeah, I got recruited pretty early, committed there pretty quickly, and yeah, I went from there.
So what was I guess backing up, does the hockey, slap shot, does that translate to baseball at all? Does that help with your baseball swing? It's like if you play golf, that could either help or wreck your baseball swing. Does hockey help?
I don't know. It probably helps in some sense, like wrist strength or grip strength or something like that. Like, I don't know. Hockey does help does help a lot of things, like just athleticism, balance, and stuff like that. But I mean, I couldn't tell you if it helps baseball at all.
And then growing up in Canada, I assume that you were a Toronto Blue Jays fan, or what teams were you watching growing up for baseball?
My first MLB game was actually the Dodgers. So I was a big Dodgers guy growing up, but then obviously the Blue Jays and stuff, and that playoff run with Bautista and all them, we watched all the Blue Jays games. So definitely a mixture of both, and loved when we were in the playoffs there. So
And did you go to any games in Toronto? It shows that your hometown is Alberta, but I saw another city that I don't quite know how to pronounce that you might have grown up in. How close is that to Toronto?
St. Albert, and so I moved to Okotoks in grade 9 for high school for the Dogs,
Okay.
but yeah, that's on the west side compared to Toronto's on far east. I think I went to a couple of Toronto Blue Jays games just because I was there for T12, where it's like top 150 players in Canada or something. So I was in town at the Rogers Center, got to play on the field, and then watch a couple games, kind of deal.
And how's the competition level throughout Canada? Because I imagine, the entire off season, you might not have a clear field until April, up in Canada. So what does that look like in the off season with training? Did you travel elsewhere throughout the summers to try to play some baseball?
Yeah,
Or sorry,
early
during the
on,
winters? Yeah.
yeah, early on, like early spring, we definitely travel, go to a couple of PG tournaments in Florida and stuff. And then when it's the winter time, we have the Dogs had a big indoor field house, so it was pretty sweet deal that they got there. So we could do live ABs for a bunch of time when we were not able to go outside. Uh, yeah, but we can travel. There's like a few big tournaments like Best of the West in Canada where even like the some of the Quebec team comes out, and Vauxhall's in Alberta as well, and there's some decent programs kind of around us. But definitely a lot of inter squatting, definitely a lot of traveling to Florida too.
And so during high school baseball, what's the competition level up in Canada? Did you travel across the states at all, like as a high school squad to play some American teams? What does that look like?
So high school baseball isn't really like a thing in Canada. Like you don't play for your high school team. The high school team's not like very good. So the Okotoks Dogs is like a travel team, like travel academy, and it's not part of school. So like that's what I
Okay.
had to be a part of. So that's kind of just travel. Like you do school and then you go to baseball after school, and it's kind of like a travel team, travel across states. Like a couple of times we went down the West Coast, play a bunch of college and JUCO teams and some D1 teams in the fall as well, just for more experience and stuff like that. But yeah, nothing like you guys have in the States with high school baseball.
Yeah, so it's really preparing you for college baseball, having to balance both of those things.
Ye-
And then yeah, and then how did you make your way out to Washington State?
Yeah, so I just got recruited. I was recruited by Illinois State and Pittsburgh as well. But Washington State kind of just fit me. I mean, I grew up out of town. We had a family farm in Saskatchewan. My uncle has a ranch in Okotoks, and I always liked doing outdoor work and never liked the big city really. So the Palouse kind of fit me, kind of fit who I was, and yeah, it was closest to home kind of deal, and yeah, I mean it just kind of fit kind of the player I wanted to be and the people I wanted to be around.
So you get out there your freshman year. What are you thinking heading into the locker room? With the guys, start to get a little bit of experience that first year.
Yeah, it was interesting actually. So like I didn't show up right away. I had to like before like so I met the coaches obviously, but before I even got to campus, I had to ask if I could play in the 18U WBC. Um, So I had to I was like late like by a month for school for my freshman year. So that was a little bit interesting. But I had to work through that and then showed up. And I mean, yeah, like in the fall I played okay. I mean, I was a freshman, just getting more experience with metal bats and stuff. And yeah, I just didn't play a whole lot my freshman year. Didn't get really the opportunities, but then we got a new coaching staff and stuff, and then they were like, "Come back. I think you just need to play," and that was like pretty cool to see the belief kind of deal.
And sorry, jumping back, we have to talk about, of course, you playing for the Team Canada's junior national team. How does that happen? How do you get that opportunity? What was that experience like?
Yeah, so this is kind of crazy. I was getting a call like one morning. We were just sitting around the like eating breakfast, and I'm getting a call from Greg Hamilton, and I don't know who that is. I've never even fathomed the junior national team. Didn't even know that it existed. I was like, Greg Hamilton keeps calling me, keeps phoning me, like, and I sent him to voicemail like 3 or 4 times, and then I answer, and then I don't say nothing because I think it's like a scam call. And then he finally speaks up like third or fourth call and is like, "Hey, this is Greg Hamilton, the coach of the junior national team. Is this Max?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." Hi, like I'm freaking out now. And yeah, then you get called out of nowhere. I mean, he just is at tournaments watching and stuff, and their guys are out at watching tournaments, and you just get a call randomly one day and say, "Hey, come out to this camp in Florida, come out to this camp in Toronto," and it's a pretty sweet deal. So yeah, I didn't even know who he was or that it existed at first, and then I was all excited about it, and then got to do a bunch of camps, play complex league teams, and that was a really cool experience. So
Yeah, who were some of the teammates that you were playing with, and did you have any like collaboration or any mixing with the actual Team Canada at any point during the Baseball Classic? At least practicing.
we were never with the big squad kind of deal. A lot of the coaching staff was similar, like in and out of there. Some of my teammates, like Miles Naylor, notable one. He's on the in the A's organization. Sam Shaw in the Blue Jays organization. Sam White at West Virginia. Um, Probably missing a few more, but we had a pretty good squad.
And so, how did you guys do, and how was that tournament structured? And which other national teams were you playing?
We didn't do all that great. We lost a couple few close games, and we played like teams like Brazil, Netherlands, South Korea, then obviously USA. I think it's like a round robin, and then kind of getting out of the round robin, you played in it's like one or two elimination games kind of deal. We didn't do all that great, but we were close in a lot of games, and it was just like cool to play on those fields and represent your country. Obviously, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, what does it mean to wear Canada across your chest like that?
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things, especially on like a stage where there's like there's a ton of people in the stands, and it's just the coolest thing to represent your country. It's like it's special.
Did you guys play at the Marlins Stadium at all?
No, no, I think we were in Sarasota, so we were at like
Okay,
the Baltimore Orioles AAA facility.
okay, awesome. And you were rated the top outfield prospect in Alberta by Perfect Game at the time when you went to Washington State University. You mentioned got a little experience your freshman year, but then the coaching staff changed and they really gave you that opportunity. So walk me through what it was like heading into that sophomore year.
Yeah, so I was in the summer playing for the Bellingham Bells with
Okay.
WCL. And then Choate, like we're going through coaching, like we're going through coaching, like recruiting, right? Like recruiting coaches, and then we hire somebody. Choate reaches out and says like, "Hey man, like I see like who you are, like what you do, and I really think you just need to play." And so like come back, we're gonna get you innings, and yeah, it was cool to like him believe in me and stuff. And I came back in the fall, and it was still like pretty good dogfight at my position. And he told me that he's like in the fall he was honest with me, and that was pretty cool. Like he was pretty honest coach, so that was good and refreshing to have. Kind of told me the truth, said, "Hey, it's a dogfight. Like you gotta have to compete." And I was like, I'm gonna beat anybody out. So then season comes around, and first game I'm starting hitting leadoff, and as a sophomore on a team of pretty old guys. So that's pretty exciting. I still texted my parents like the first game, and I was like, I'm hitting leadoff, um, hitting leadoff, and like every game up until like game 15, it was like still surprising to me to see my name up on the lineup card, I guess. So I still would text my parents hitting leadoff, playing left, hitting leadoff, playing right, kind of deal, and yeah, like it was just pretty cool to start. He liked me in that leadoff spot, and like that relationship kind of grew from there. So
On your travel team, were you a leadoff guy or were you a heart of the order guy? Because I mean, your sophomore year, you ended up finishing with a 286 average. You had 17 multi-hit games, which is tied for the team lead. Tied for the team lead with 10 multiple RBI games. Do you like being at the top of the order?
I've gotten used to it now. The last couple like years, like I wasn't during my sophomore year when he put me there. I kind of had to adjust to it and kind of grow into the role, kind of deal. In high school, I was like a 2 or 3 hitter, like heart of the order guy, and would always hit 2 or 3 kind of deal. And so the leadoff spot was an adjustment, but like it played into my game well, and yeah, like it definitely benefited how I played the game.
You also like to steal some bags. You had 10 stolen bases that season. You were 7 for 8 this past year. Just kind of walk me through your overall. How would you describe your playing style in your game?
I would say I'm super competitive, and try to just do whatever's best for the team at the time, whether it's lay down a bunt, make a play in the outfield. Like uh, at that World Baseball Classic, I got a nickname. It was Air Canada because I made a couple diving plays, so that was pretty cool. So I mean, I feel like I just can do it on it both sides of the ball. I run the base as well. Get the green light in the summer a little bit more, which is nice. And yeah, I mean, I think I can play both sides of the ball, pretty dynamic and pretty athletic, I guess, is kind of how I play my game.
So you played for the Bellingham Bells. You also played for the Wenatchee team the following summer in the West Coast League.
Yeah.
I actually live a mile from the Richfield Raptors complex. What was it like to play in the West Coast League, to travel just all throughout the West Coast? They even have teams up in Canada. It's great competition. You look at guys that are currently in the major leagues or big league names like Tarek Skubal won the AL Cy Young last year. He was in the West Coast League. Walk me through that experience, the travel, the competition that you're facing.
Yeah, it's super fun. I mean, the high end of competition is really good in the West Coast League, like comparable to anybody in the country. To be honest, it's really good competition. The West Coast League is a cool place. All the traveling and driving and stuff that you do is like bus trips are hard, but I mean you get to see that like Victoria, BC, like you get to see Kelowna. I like Kelowna a lot. We played there for a bunch of tournaments all the time, right? Yeah, you get to see down in Richfield. They got a good field there. Like you get to see Portland, all down in Oregon too. And I mean the West Coast League's pretty cool. Like just for that, and I really enjoyed it. So
Did you have a favorite city that you played in during that time?
Victoria was probably the coolest. When we got to Victoria, that was pretty cool. You could hang out with the fellows in downtown and stuff, and that was pretty good city like to be at the start of summer because people were still in school, kind of deal.
And how does that recruiting work for summer ball like that? I know that the GMs of various summer ball teams are reaching out to head coaches at universities, like, "Hey, who's trying to play this summer?" What was that experience like? Did you have any, decision process, or was Choate recommending, "Hey, go play here"?
Yeah, we got recommended by the coaches to go somewhere, kind of deal, and they originally want to send me to Alaska, but
The last
yeah, the Alaska League, and I couldn't do that just for various reasons. So I said we got to go in the WCL, and those were full, and I liked the apple socks and the natural surface and stuff, and I really enjoyed my summer there. So that was really a good decision for me.
And then heading into this year, your junior season, you ended up leading the team in batting average among qualified players, 363, 956 OPS, 9 doubles, 5 home runs, 29 RBIs, again, 7 for 8 and stolen bases. Walk me through this past season. I know obviously the team as a whole, did not have the results that you guys were looking for, but just walk me through this season.
Yeah, I think this season was propelled pretty well by how I did in the summer with the Apple Sox, and I was confident coming in, hit well in the fall, hit well in the early spring against like in inter squads and stuff, and I knew my role. I knew my role for the team and stuff, and I kind of kept growing into it and kept driving the ball a little bit more, and it was yeah, I had a good overall year, and yeah, I'm happy with how I played and stuff, and it was a good year to kind of go finish my hopefully like finish my college career.
Okay, so you're leaning towards potentially heading towards the draft this season.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. We're pretty confident in that. So hopefully that goes the right way.
Awesome. So with all of that's been changing in college athletics, you got NIL that was added. They just passed House versus NCAA to where universities can now directly pay their players. You mentioned that you have an agent. What's that process like as a college athlete? Trying to manage your schooling, you're going for engineering among all things. There's a workload there. Walk me through that process of trying to manage all these different things, and when do you end up hiring an agent?
So he reached out to me during my sophomore year, and so he kind of said, "Hey, like you fit the profile. You kind of have a chance of being drafted in your junior year if you keep these numbers up." Because I mean, even most of my sophomore year, I was hitting 330, and so I got injured near the last half of the season, and I still played through it, but I didn't put up the numbers that I was putting up just because of the injury. And so he just reached out to me during my sophomore year, and then we kind of thought about it, and actually last year's draft, my brother was getting a bunch of interest, and then all of a sudden, like we were like, okay, we've never done this before, and I phone this guy, and he like I go, can you represent both me and my brother? And he goes, absolutely, and did a bunch of research on him and called a bunch of scouts and made a bunch of phone calls and helped my brother with his draft process. So that's what kind of happened. And the NIL stuff, I don't have to deal with crazy amount because I can't get much. I
Oh
can't.
yeah, because you're not a U.S. citizen, right?
Right.
So you have
So
to basically be in Canada to do anything to get NIL money.
right. So that's kind of where I am on the NIL stuff. There's some stuff like ways to work around it and stuff, but WSU hasn't really done that. So I mean, it's not a big deal and not stuff I've ever kind of worried about or anything like that. But um, yeah, kind of never had to talk about that, or like never had to be a big part of my career. And with engineering, obviously, it's hard. Bunch of management of time management is a big thing, and school is pretty important to me. And came to do school, but also came to play baseball. And so managing both those and having to focus on actually getting a degree is important to me. So.
How did you decide on engineering? How would you intend to apply that outside of your baseball career?
My dad's an engineer, and I have a bunch of engineers in my family. I was good at math and science all growing up in school and stuff, and it kind of just fit the mold of like what I wanted to do and where I was smart. And so I was like, I'm gonna just do what my dad does, and he's a manager of infrastructure for a municipality, so kind of manages roadways, waterways, and manages some people, does a bunch of does some things in the field as well. So he gets to be outside, but also in the office building, in the big meetings with government stuff. And so he's got kind of the best of both worlds, I find, with stuff, and that's kind of what I want to do with it after my baseball career is over.
So engineer type, super detail oriented, I imagine, into stats and all that. So, and we didn't talk about the facility upgrades at Bailey Brayton this past year, but how into the stats, into the details, exit velocity, launch angle, those types of things are you into? And then also, aside from that, walk me through what it's like throughout college and summer ball of looking at opposing pitchers and preparing for their games. If you're looking at spin rate, pitch profile, all that stuff.
Yeah, so like the exit velocity and that is like cool to know, but I'm not a huge like I don't know like the science behind like the launch angle, spin, like whatever kind of deal on when I hit, right. But I mean, I like knowing when I hit a bomb or when I hit a ball hard, how hard I hit it. Like that's cool. but never really was huge into that. As well as like pictures and stuff. I like using my eyes. So like the first AB, I like kind of just using my eyes and stuff. A lot of the scouting reports were not like crazy in depth or anything. So I mean, as a leadoff guy, have to um, kind of figure out what the guy's deal is and how that works. And I kind of just do that instead of the trackman and all those kind of things.
You mentioned a brother. Is that an older brother, a younger brother? Did you guys play baseball growing up together?
Yeah, he's my younger brother. He would always play up a little bit to play with me, and he moved down to Okotoks with me my grade 12 year. Yeah, we played together a couple times in baseball, hockey, and volleyball and basketball and stuff. So it's always been me and him kind of together and pretty competitive with that. So
What are you most looking forward to the rest of this summer? Obviously, the draft is coming up here in about 3 weeks or so. What are you most looking forward to?
yeah, I mean, this team in Mahoning Valley is fun. A lot of competitive guys, really nice guys here. Um, I'm really just looking forward to the draft and done a couple workouts and stuff. So kind of just looking forward towards the draft. My parents are coming here shortly just to say hi and keep driving my brother's car down to Florida. Um, but yeah, just looking forward to the draft and getting seen by a couple more scouts just to kind of solidify my spot.
You're listed at about 6'3", 200. You mentioned you're basically a 5'2" guy. Who would you compare yourself to that's currently in the big leagues as a guy that you might look to emulate, or that you might compare your game to, or just that you like to watch?
Probably the most comparisons that I've got is Jarren Duran.
Okay.
Um, my swing's kind of like Brandon Nimmo. I've gotten some Brandon Nimmo and Jarren Duran comparisons just because I mean those guys do it on both sides and kind of play the entire game well. So both those two guys I have some draws some comparisons to. But I mean I just like watching baseball.
Absolutely. Well, Max, really appreciate your time. Thanks for chatting. Looking forward to watching you progress this summer. I'll be looking for you in the draft this upcoming cycle, and best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Go Cougs.
Go Goose.